Welcome in to the Fishbowl Sports. I'm your host, Chief, and joining me today is Jalen. How you doing today, Jalen?
Hey, I'm doing well, Chief. Fishbowl Sports. We're here.
We are here, and we're doing Fishbowl Sports is going to bring it to you right and hot, but not quite. The Cajuns don't know what hot is right now because they're really in a cold spell, to say the least. Dropping their last two games to Missouri and to Eastern Michigan, and just going to bring up the stats here real quick because I think it's very important to know there's a lot wrong with what happened out there in at Eastern Michigan. Um, we threw the ball a lot more than I wanted to, and I think that was really to the detriment of the Cajuns offense. But it's not like they struggled like crazily bad. Um, it was one of those that felt that they should have ran the ball more. Um, Jalen, what you thought? Like, because I can't feel alone in this, I don't think, right? Am I
No,
feeling?
you're definitely not alone in this. I think they said this game because when you look at it, Chief, when they played against the league just said against Missouri, remember Daniel Beal came saying, "Hey, we're going to make sure he passed the ball more." That's why he got over 200 yards. So I see the game plan they were trying to do. Feeding Xylan Perry, that was the key to this game. I think it was, and I think I agree with you, Chief. I think they should have ran the ball more, just balance it out. But I kind of see why they didn't, based on what happened in the game against Missouri. So I kind of see both sides of it. At the same time, I felt like that, yeah, they should have ran the ball more because it was effective. Xylan Perry and Bill Davis combined for three touchdowns. That make up most of the touchdowns for your team. So I mean, that's just your run game is your offense right now, and it's just not working right now. They're in a two-game skid.
So the fallout from Eastern Michigan is the Cajuns now have four of their like starting light offensive linemen out due to injury, entering in the game against Marshall. Also, Shelton Sampson has a hamstring, uh, pulled hamstring right now, or a hamstring injury, I should say, make it more because I'm not a doctor. I didn't get the prognosis. Has an injury to his hamstring, so he'll be out probably for Saturday. I don't expect him to play Saturday against Marshall.
And they are. And let me add to this, Chief. They are trying to feed Shelton Sampson, so that's going to be a huge deal.
They had, and Robert Williams was also injured in the game, got taken to a local area hospital out there at Eastern Michigan. So he's, from what I heard from sources, it's a spinal contusion or spinal cord contusion, somewhere around there, which, that could be a couple of months to maybe a lifelong injury that you have to deal with. Hopefully that he comes back, and all our thoughts and prayers are with him at this
Yes,
time right now.
absolutely.
So, but Robert Williams and Shelton Sampson were your top two receivers in terms of targets and yardage in this game here. Robert Williams had 9 targets, 7 catches, 71 yards. Shelton Sampson, 5 targets, 3 catches, 87 yards. Um, it's I said the Cajuns need to run the ball 50 times. They only ran the ball 32 times. I know that we're trying to say that, like, okay, this is what it is and this is how it should be here. But the Cajuns threw the ball a good bit. Like I said, I don't think they need the quarterback to throw 180 to 200 yards. I think he did enough to win the game. Because look where he was at. He had 33 attempts. Lunch threw the ball twice, only completed one. Um, that was part of it for them there. Cajuns ran the ball 32 times as a team total. I think they need to try to get to 50, or even like, because if you take away 50, if you take away 2 attempts from lunch, or if you want to take away a couple like 10 passes from Daniel Beal,
Hmm.
I do understand they were very evenly called. Like they almost called it. They leaned a little bit more towards a pass in this one. 35 pass attempts to 32 rush attempts. So they definitely called more passing plays. I think if you can't get to 50, you got to try at least get to 45. I think that's like 40, 45. And they were close to that regard there, but I think 50 is kind of your golden point there because, You can get it that way. Like Blanco should get more carries in there. I
Yep, the
don't
run game is there.
uh because they all like as a group when you put in Zion Perry, Bill Davis, Stephen Blanco, Daniel Beal, and Lynch Winfield together, they're averaging 6.7 yards a carry. So whenever you add that together, Perry and Davis, who's your two main running backs, was averaging over 7 yards a carry to whenever they were actually gaining more than what Eastern Michigan was doing. Eastern Michigan did not just straight up outplay the Cajuns. They had less yards than the Cajuns, period, across the board on offense. The Cajuns technically did better there. Tony Sterner missed that 44-yard field goal here, and then that could have been like that was kind of a rough one there. And Eastern Michigan had their own like misses there themselves there. So
Hmm.
it it just wasn't a good day. I mean, like it looked like a better offensive performance, but Eastern Michigan is not a good football team. They're not. They lost
I
to an
mean,
FCS school.
yes, going in 0-3.
Uh, they're in that bottom 25, and I think the Cajuns might actually end up being there as we look ahead to Marshall because they're. It's kind of hard to wonder if this team actually has. We lost a good bit of experience last year, and I do think like when teams have success and the transfer portal kind of hits, I think especially in this NIL era, um, Cajuns seem like they're kind of like they're inexperienced at receiver. I get that. Um, Bill is inexperienced. They're inexperienced at quarterback. So Bill or Lunch was going to be your quarterback entering this year.
Hmm.
I think would Walker have made a big difference in this game? I think his dual threat ability would have gave him something there. I think this score might be a little bit different because he definitely. I think the difference between Walker and Bill here is Walker's a little more mobile than Bill is. Walker can run better than Bill, a little bit quicker, able to get up to speed a little bit quicker than Bill. So I think
And that,
that
and,
plays
then,
a
and
role.
for the record, Chief, for anybody that's saying that's not criticism on Daniel Beal, it's just a different style of football that he plays at quarterback.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like I don't mean to like call him out or anything like that. What I'm saying is like I talked about last week, Cajuns play better. Like the Cajuns, the tradition when the Cajuns were winning football games back when we go back to Billy Napier, Mark Smith, we've had dual threat quarterbacks and that brought success because that made the defense key on a different ability of that quarterback. Daniel Bill is not a dual threat quarterback. He's a pocket passer. And typically when those played at you well, from what, I think Brooks Hack was there in 2015 playing Jordan Davis was more he was a little bit of a scrambler, but not like a full blown like he can't run like Winfield can. Like Lunch Winfield can run faster than Jordan Davis did back in 2015. And these other like Nunez was kind of somewhat of a pocket passer, but not really. I mean, like he's almost like a hybrid. It's kind of hard to tell. Levi Lewis he definitely had some speed on him. He could definitely run out the pocket and run the ball,
Oh, yeah,
which made
absolutely.
Levi Lewis a dual threat quarterback, like we were talking about. So with that being said, though, I do think that it's tough to win with pocket passers at UL. That's just the way it is because like traditionally speaking, they don't work as good basically. And Dez wasn't a pocket passer himself. He was a scrambler. He could run and make plays whenever he needed to, whenever he was quarterback at UL. So that right there kind of tells you a lot there. So
Watch the
as we
film.
yeah, watch the film. It's right there basically for you. Um, let's talk about this Jalen real quick. What you think about Marshall coming? Marshall, they've been 2-0 since they replaced their starting quarterback. Is that a concern to you?
That definitely is a concern for me, if I'm being honest with you, Chief, because the fact that they did that in their 2-0, it says a lot about they're going okay, let's say this. They played against Georgia to start the year. Anybody in the Sunbelt, everybody lost to Georgia, so don't even think about it. But then when they lost the game against Missouri State, and it's like, okay, what are we gonna do as a team? And then like you said, they um they made that change. And once they did, they started winning more games. and not only winning, they beat the last two teams by 14 plus. So I'm kind of scared for the Cajuns. I thought Marshall was going to be one of those teams that last year, hey, they lost some players to the transfer portal, but guess what? It's that players that come in and want to play for that program, and Cajuns are on a two-game losing streak. Marshall, no one's really expecting them to do anything this year. So that makes it kind of scary for me. And I think the Cajuns, if they don't watch themselves, they could be on a three-game losing streak.
And you don't want to open up conference play with a loss. Like, I think if you
Yep.
look at it here from the Cajuns' perspective here, and for everybody, like, if you're, this is your first conference game if you're UL, this is definitely one of those that you're looking at it like, this is a new season. Um, yeah, this is basically a new season. This is a good time to have a redo. It's a mulligan, right? You've had a bad start. This is about as worse as it can get. The only way it can get worse than that was if you lost to McNeese, which you'd have been 0-4 going into this game.
Hmm.
But this is definitely a restart possibility here. So that is something that you have to look at and be like, okay, cool. Like, how are we doing this here? So, look, stat rankings for both these teams is a little bit different here. We're on so points per game, offense for the Cajuns, they're ranked 102nd out of 136 teams. Yards a game, 267, that's 129th. Yards per play, 107. Third down conversion, only converting 34%. That's your problem right there. That's a
Yep.
huge problem right there. So on the defensive side, they're giving up 33.3 points per game, good for 107th. Opponent yards a game, 97th, giving up 422. Uh, uh, let's see. Third down conversions for the Cajun defense give up 51.28%. That's 121st. That number needs to go down, obviously. The Cajuns are bad on both sides of the ball if you look at the rankings. Now the Missouri one kind of inflated it a little bit, and we still kind of got that, but Eastern Michigan was, they scored 34 points on you, which is right in line with you basically give up to them. So uh, the 31 points you scored was a little bit above average. So it's kind of like, okay, now let's go look at Marshall. Let's see how they look here. They're give they're putting up 23 points a game. That's 79th. Yards a game, 310. That's 111th. That's better than the Cajuns. Third down conversion, they're not converting third down that well either. They're at 30.95%. I think that's a little bit better than the Cajuns. Yeah, Cajuns at
Yeah.
34%, Marshall's at 30. So if you look at this here and compare and contrast between, okay, Cajuns got a little bit better on third down.
Uh-huh.
And let's talk about red zone scoring a little bit here because I think that's important here. The Cajuns only been in the red zone. They're number one in the country, the Cajuns in the red zone, believe it or not. And you're probably wondering, well, Chief, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it really is. I'm kind of
that's
shocked.
that's 100%. Which but here's the thing: Cajuns don't normally score in the red zone. I mean, they don't normally get in the
Yeah.
red zone to score. I'm not seeing the attempts in the red zone here, so I'll have to go look back and see about that. But I don't think the
Yeah.
attempts are that much, to be honest, because I know it against Missouri, they had that long touchdown run and had a field goal, so they wasn't in the red zone for either one of those there. Um, McNeese, I think they had big runs and they ended up scoring there too. I think they had the red zone. The one time I remember the red zone was that first touchdown that I think Daniel Beal threw against McNeese in the end zone. I think that was the only time they had. I think all the other ones were just like big busted runs that the running backs got. Those long touchdown runs,
Uh-huh.
which is good for your explosive play ranking. But I mean, as far as like red zone scoring, it doesn't help you too much. So Marshall, once they get in the red zone, they're at 87.5%, which is good for 60th in the country here. Um, Marshall gives up 31 points a game. That's 98th. Opposing yards, 445, 113. So their defense can be, you can score on their defense. They give up 30, their opponent third down conversion, 38%, which that's pretty good for their third down conversion. But it's like, okay, which one you think that they're gonna do here? So How well are they against the Cajuns? Their best weapon is the running game here. So they're giving up 4 yards. Let's see, they're giving up 4.1 yards a rush. That's good for 60th ranked. And that's pretty decent because you might have some that's a lot higher than that there. So that's something that we're going to look at here when we get down to it. The Cajuns, they're fifth, they're top 15 in yards a rush in the
Hmm.
country. 28.3 rushes a game, but they're ranked 120th in rushes a game. Like I said, bump those numbers up, get it to 40. You need to be one of the top 10 rushing teams in the country.
And
That's
they
where
can
your
be
ranking
that.
should be. I think that's really where this offense needs to go through the running game, which will set up the passing game later on in the game here. You need to establish the running game. You need to almost have a 2-to-1 play calling in the first half of the game. I want to see if you're running the ball 30 times a game right here, and you're split like 15, 10 of those plays should be running plays and maybe five passing because you want them to have eight in the box when they're all close up to the line. That way the quarterback's going to have option to go wherever he wants here. I mean, hell, if you want to even put lunch in there to throw the ball, go ahead and do it because I think that's going to catch them off guard because he don't throw the ball that much. I mean, he don't throw the ball very often at all. And whenever he does throw it, it needs to be a deep shot. I think you need to take off the top of that defense and back them up a little bit. Just take your shot once or twice a game with lunch, and they're gonna be worried about it for sure. Lunch needs to go run about 10 plays, and I think that would be a really good thing for them to do because that's what they need to do on offense. I mean, they didn't listen to me last week basically when I said they needed to run the ball 40 to 50 times a game, and they had 60, no, they had 70 plays, so that's only 20 passing plays. You better make sure they're worth it. I think 50 plays running the ball would have wore down Eastern Michigan's defense to where they couldn't even stop the run defensively in the second half. But you know, there's also something else that I want to look at here is the fact if you look at it here, if you look at running the football and I think it was like 3 minutes to go. I'm gonna go pull it up real quick here, to kind of like get an idea of see the stat. I'm trying to see what that scoring drive was. Not scoring drive. It was like they should have the drives here somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh my
definitely
goodness.
something you can pull up.
Yeah, they have the drives, and I think it was the second or third to last one when there was a terrible mistake here. That's fumbles. That's the full game. These are player stats here. Participation report. There's the drive. Okay. So looking at all these drives here, uh, let's see here. So they had it first, second, third, and fourth. Okay. So there is a 4th and 2. Okay. I think you remember this, huh, Jalen?
Say
The
again,
Cajuns
Chief?
went for it. Yeah. So it was a 4th and 2, and they they tried passing it, and they didn't get it. Um, this is saying punt right here, but I could be wrong. Oh yeah, it was intercepted. My bad. So look, okay. Yeah, it was 3:13 to go. So Bill passed it. It was back-to-back drives where they threw the interception, okay?
Yes, yeah, okay. I remember what you're
And
talking
they
about.
had
Yeah.
and they had the ball on their 30.
Cause,
Let's see,
cause,
I think
cause
they ran.
wasn't that play when he was about to get sacked and he was going down and threw it?
Yeah, because it was 4th and 2. But I was arguing against the play call from the beginning because it's 2 yards, and they're giving you up seven to not only one of your running backs, but both of your running backs.
Yeah, that's true.
Hell, like it's 2 yards. I think if we couldn't get it running the football, we didn't deserve to get it, period. That was one that I was like, okay, like that one, I think Dez kind of just gave it didn't really do anything much there. Like it just ended everything there. So didn't do much there. So with it, you gave and the penalties. The penalties were really bad for the Cajuns too. Um,
Hmm.
it was a bad mess right there because they got there and it was not good at all. And Eastern Michigan drove down the field, and toward the end of the game ended up getting pulling ahead there toward late. So they
I really thought the Cajuns were going to go down that field and um just win the game. Uh, I knew Eastern Michigan, kicked that field goal right at the end, and it's like, okay, the Cajuns tied the game up, and I'm like, all right, let's try to get us some overtime. But I don't know, Eastern Michigan, they they weren't what they were 0-3 to begin with, and then it was their homecoming. I mean, they were at home, they had all the momentum. I was just sitting there watching. I was like, I hope they don't go down this field, and because they threw that one big, I can't remember the receiver's name that caught it, but he was wide open for them to even set up that game-winning field goal.
people were arguing about the squib kick, but I don't think that matters. Okay, take away the squib idea. Okay, if he would have ran the football with that 3 minutes to go, it was 3 minutes 13 seconds left to go on the clock when that interception happened. Okay, and they only had the ball for, let's see, was that 32 seconds right there on that drive? That was 34 seconds they had the ball in that time of possession. So they went through those three plays real quick there. And it was 4th and 2. And if they would have ran the ball and they would have got that first down, you're in a whole different set of the ball game now because you can get together a 4 or 5 minute drive, okay? Like you are right there to be able to score. That's the problem that I'm trying to figure out here because I was like, you know that you're running the ball on these guys. Like they cannot stop you. Eastern Michigan was not going to stop the Cajuns running game right in that situation. They wasn't going to. I think the offensive line would have been able to win the battle up front. I think the Cajuns were the better blocking offensive team. Like you look at the stats and they back that up. The yardage was there. They were I think they were beating them up front, offensive line was, which kudos to them. I didn't normally give them too much credit for last week from Missouri, but they were beat them up front this game. Um, it's just what hurt the Cajuns the most was penalties. I think they had over 100 yards in penalties in this game. And that will kill you every single time. It was a lot of false starts. Just people getting too antsy or whatever it was. It was kind of a clean game in terms of like turnovers until they got way late in the fourth quarter with the two interceptions by Beal. But looking ahead there, it was like I was looking just like, man, what's going on here? Cajuns had the ball pretty well in the first quarter. I mean, possession time was almost split right down the middle. They controlled that possession in the first quarter. They had 9 minutes and 58 seconds. Had the ball. So that was good there. They had 10 penalties for 85 yards. I mean, Eastern Michigan helped out the case a good bit too. 8 penalties for 92, but that's still way too many penalties. If you're starting to get double-digit penalties, you need to cut that in half, at least five. That needs to
Yeah,
be like you gotta watch the ball, not the center. Like at some points there too. If you're watching the ball, that's when you know you gotta go as an offensive lineman. But man, I get it. You're trying to get leverage. You're trying to beat your man to the spot or whatever you're trying to do if you're run blocking or whatever it is. But man, it's just need to slow down a little bit here because I mean, look, if you're trying to get there, and I get it. I trust me, I get it. But very undisciplined football from the Cajuns so far. Not only that, but like Missouri, they gave Missouri a couple of chances too with penalties. Penalties have been a problem for the Cajuns this year. Um, but I do think that has something to do with experience here. Now, talent, I think the Cajuns.
I think
There
they're
was so
very
much.
talented.
I th Here's the thing about talent. It only comes to it only you gotta have you can have all the talent in the world, but you gotta have it up here too. You gotta have a little bit of brains with you too to figure out what's going on out there because there's sometimes there that like look, the quarterback, Bill didn't have much help though. The Cajuns' offensive line's a better run blocking team than they are pass blocking, from what I can tell. Because against Rice, I still think they run block decent. I didn't think they run block the best, but it was the first game. I was giving them a little bit of a break there. Um, They did not play a tough non-conference schedule. Eastern Michigan's weak. Rice is weak. McNeese is definitely a weak team compared. Like the your toughest team was Missouri, and they blew you out. Um, I don't know, Jalen. It's looking rough out there. Is all I can say.
It
All right.
is, and my prediction is now it's officially gone. Kind of sad about that. So
Yeah, we'll see what happens here, but let's go pick some Sunbelt games. What you say?
yeah, let's do it.
Alabama taking on North Texas. Who you got in that game, Jalen?
I think I'm gonna go South Al in this one.
I'm gonna agree with you. I think South Alabama's gonna win this game here. Overall, it looks like the Sunbelt's kind of down somewhat this year. We got a couple like teams playing against each other. So Georgia Southern taking on James Madison. Georgia Southern going on the road taking on James Madison. Who you got in that one, Jalen?
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna go with James Madison on this one.
I'm gonna go with JMU as well. I think they are gonna be probably. It's gonna be tough. I think James
Yeah,
Madison might be the champion this year. To be honest with you, they look
I
like they're
I
playing the best
definitely see
ball.
that.
Um, they're probably playing the best ball. Obviously, Old Dominion's playing pretty well too, but we'll see about that later on. Arkansas State taking on UOM. Who you got, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Warhawks on this one. They're starting out pretty great too, but it's early. It's early.
Oh, you got the Warhawks going with the
I
win.
got the I
Interesting.
got yeah, I got the Warhawks.
You got the Warhawks. I think you're wrong though. I think Arkansas State's gonna end up beating UOM. I know Arkansas State's 1-3. They're on a three-game losing skid, I know, but I do believe they're gonna be able to put it together and knock off them Warhawks. All right, next game we got on the list here. Liberty taking on Old Dominion here. So who you got in that one, Jalen?
Liberty and Old Dominion. I'm I'm gonna go with Liberty.
You gonna go with Liberty?
I'm
You
gonna
know what?
go.
I think I'm gonna agree with you on that one. I think Liberty's gonna get it done here. Old Dominion's had a good year so far, being 2-1 so far. But I mean, I just I think they're gonna kind of hit a roadblock here. We'll see what happens though. But I think
Yeah,
that's
because the 1-3 is not scaring me. So
Jacksonville State taking on Southern Miss. Who you got in that game, Jalen? Excuse me.
yeah, I got Southern Miss in this one.
I got Southern Miss winning this one too. I think they're gonna be able to win this game, but they haven't been looking the best lately. They kind of been looking kind of sluggish, but I mean they've only played. There's only been one Sunbelt. I think two Sunbelt games played so far this year. Um,
And I think
yeah,
one of the games outside of Sunbelt, LA Tech, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, that was one of them. Mhm. Yeah, LA Tech beat them, I think too.
Yep, and they beat them. I see it right here. Yep, they beat them.
App State taking on Boise State. That's gonna be a future conference game. That LA Tech Southern Miss game. But App State taking on Boise State. I got Boise. Who
Yeah,
you got, Jalen?
I'm gonna go with Boise in this one.
And Saturday night, Our Lady of Lords Fishbowl Sports is gonna be there. I know I will. Marshall taking on Louisiana. Jalen, what you thinking?
So, man, the Cajuns have to win. They're at home. I think they'll take this one against Marshall. That's what I'm thinking. The Cajuns win.
I can't feel the same way.
I know, Chia. I know it's
I
tough. It's tough.
my heart is telling me to pick the Cajuns, but my head's telling me Marshall's gonna win this ball game, and I'm picking Marshall. I'm sorry. I have not seen enough from UL to pick them because they're first off, they're inconsistent and they're undisciplined. I mean, that's the two words, inconsistent and undisciplined. That's why you get all the penalties. And inconsistent, they have moments where they shine great, And until Dez runs that offense through the running game, I don't feel confident picking them. I literally think the Cajuns could get to 6 or 7 wins if they run that offense through the running game. Exactly like I said in this whole entire episode. They will
Mhm.
win. They could potentially win the West if they run it through that running game. That's how highly I'm thinking of it there. But it's up to him. Regardless, if he doesn't do it that way, we're going to keep losing ball games. If we keep trying to force something, a square peg in a round hole, that's exactly what's going to end up happening. So we'll see what happens there. But I hope Dez runs the ball more. I think it needs to be 45 to 50 times a game. If you got to cut back a lot of the passing game, then go ahead and do it. Because if it's working, let them get 8 in the box. You might be able to trim it down to 35 maybe. If it's really causing that much of a stir where they got to put 8 and start stopping you a little bit, just pass it a little bit. They'll back off because they have to defend the pass.
Yeah,
Simple.
exactly. That's true.
Simple. Well, thank y'all for tuning in here to this episode here of the Fishbowl Sports here for our Raging Cajun preview against the Marshall Thundering Herd on this. That's going to be happening this Saturday at Our Lady of Lords Stadium. So follow us on our social media channels: Facebook, X, um, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok and Threads as well. We are very active in all those. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great, wonderful day. We'll see you here next time here on the Fishbowl Sports. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.